all that work that you spent in the first 2 weeks and that preemptive third week email, this is what's teeing you up for success in this week 3 call. Now we move on to the final week, which is week 4. And this is, we're going to ask for the meeting that you've earned. So you're going to make a clear, concise, and respectful request for a meeting using the momentum from the previous weeks.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Made it. We are back. Part 2 of the account-based prospecting playbook. If you haven't listened yet, go back to last week's Tactical Tuesday where we covered part 1, which is basically what's account-based prospecting, why you should use it, how it's different from what you may have been doing. Today we're getting tactical, even more tactical for this Tactical Tuesday, which is this step-by-step system to go from cold prospect to first meeting. So today we're going to get into the let the rubber meet the road. So let's get into it. So this part of the playbook, we're going to structure it into 2 phases. The first phase, phase 1, it's going to be an intensive 4-week sprint that's designed to quickly establish credibility and earn your first conversation with a cold prospect. This is going to be going after the low-hanging fruit, and really, as we say in the name, it's a 4-week sprint. We're going to be going hard here. Second phase, phase 2, is the following 11th month nurture sequence that maintains your relationship with prospects who aren't ready to hire immediately, but it's the 95% of your market that represents your future pipeline. So we're going to go through the 4-week sprint. That's going to help you get some immediate opportunities. And then we're going to go through the following 11-month marathon that's going to help you build a predictable and sustainable business. So for this phase 1, we're going to have 4 communications, 1 each week. So week 1 is basically just proving that you know their world. It's doing this without asking for anything. So the objective here is that you want to establish credibility as a recruiter with valuable non-public information. You're going to make a strong first impression with 0 asks of them. This is going to be an email. A phone call here is premature and would defeat the purpose of the trust that we're trying to build. So the action is we want to send a micro dose of insight. It's going to be a short, powerful email containing a specific data-driven observation about their market. And remember, this is a very targeted email. It should not be a generic newsletter. So we're going to use the example of a fintech recruiter in the instance of this. So just to help you understand, the theory of it to what this would look like in practice if you're a fintech recruiter specializing in New York City, for example. So an email might look something like subject line, shift in fintech hiring patterns. And then the message would read along the lines of, hey, insert their name. My team tracks senior level moves in New York City fintech. We've seen something notable over the past 90 days. 3 major players, Stripe, Plaid, and Square, have quietly hired 15 plus risk professionals away from traditional banks. This suggests that fintech companies are prioritizing regulatory expertise over pure tech backgrounds, which is a significant shift from their usual hiring patterns. It's part of a larger transformation that we're tracking. Thought you'd want to be aware given your role. Not sure, but maybe you noticed something like this as well. Best insert your name. So the rationale behind this one is that it's immediately proving you have your finger on the pulse of their specific world. You have planted your flag of expertise, so to speak. So you're now on their radar, someone who understands their world. You're not just another recruiter. Moving into week 2. So this is going to show them why this matters to their business. So you're going to build upon the first email by connecting your market observation to a potential business challenge that they have. So you're still deliberately avoiding the phone because you want to build trust and demonstrate patience with them. So the action here is you're going to just reply onto that week 1 email thread, and you're going to reference the initial insight and frame it as a potential challenge for them. So the example here, subject is going to be shift in fintech hiring patterns, message, hi name. That regulatory talent shift I mentioned is creating an interesting dynamic in the market. The best risk professionals with fintech experience aren't actively looking. They're comfortable at traditional banks, but would consider the right fintech opportunity if approached correctly. Quick question. When you think about your top performing risk and compliance people, what backgrounds have they typically come from? Were they usually fintech natives, or have your best people come from other areas with similar skills? Best, your name. So the rationale, you're transitioning from a market observer to a problem spotter. You're building a logical narrative. First, you're going from here's what's happening in the market to now here's why that might be a problem for you. You're paving the way for a purposeful phone call, which is coming up. So that leads us to week 3, which is where you can prove that you can solve their problem and earn your first call. So this is going to be a multi-outreach medium week. So the first thing we're going to do is send an email this week, and it's going to be what we'll call a show, don't tell email. And this is going to be the reason for your follow-up call. So the email that you'd send this week would look something like a subject line of example of the risk talent that I mentioned. The message would be, hey, name, here's a profile of someone in our network who represents that regulatory talent shift in fintech. And then here's going to be the descriptor of them. VP of Risk at JP Morgan Chase for 8 years. They led AML transformation for digital payments division. Spent 2 years at Coinbase building regulatory compliance frameworks, deep expertise in both traditional banking regulations and crypto DeFi risk models. They're responsible for redesigning the entire AML framework at JP Morgan while ensuring zero compliance gaps during the transition. They developed a phased approach. They trained 50 plus team members on new protocols, and they created automated monitoring systems that reduced false positives by 60%, leading to a successful transformation that was completed 3 months ahead of schedule, saving $2 million annually in operational costs while achieving 100% regulatory compliance. This is the caliber of passive talent that we connect with our partners. They're professionals who deliver measurable business outcomes and don't respond to job postings, but are open to the right opportunity. I'll give you a call tomorrow to provide additional context on how we access this level of talent. Best, your name. Now, a bonus that I like to do here that really does show that you're going with a one-to-one approach on these, and I would do this for your true, if you know your ideal prospects you want to go after, is a video message. So some of you might know of Loom, or if you like a selfie video, if you have an iPhone or something similar. But what I like to do here is take a Loom style video where you have on your screen, you have the document of this individual. It's their anonymized profile. It doesn't have their name, but it has all the information that you shared. And then you're in the little circle in the bottom right, the bottom left that shows you talking to this. And what you would have here is basically, you can append this to your email. You can send it separately. But the context of it is you want to show them, again, show, don't tell. You have this person's profile and you want to put a face to it. So the video message here might look something like, hey, prospect, Sam here. I know you're incredibly busy, so I thought this would be faster than another email. I've been sharing insights about how fintech companies are prioritizing regulatory expertise and how hard it is to find risk talent with deep experience. I keep mixing up expertise and experience. Deep experience in both traditional banking and fintech innovation. So I wanted to show you what great looks like in this passive market. So I pulled up a profile of someone I know. This is where you hover over, you pull up the profile, you read that example that we just covered in the email above, and then after you finish all that, you wrap it up with, I just wanted to put a face to a name and hope it gives you a concrete example of the talent that's out there, but not applying to job ads. Hope this is helpful. I'll follow up with that brief call tomorrow. Now we get into the phone call. So do this 1 to 2 days after that email and video were sent. So you're going to call in, and this is where you have the conversation. You guys know how to have phone conversations, but if you wanted a script, it could look something like, hey, name, this is Sam over from Loxo. I sent you a couple emails about fintech talent trends, including that anonymized risk professional profile yesterday. Do you have 90 seconds for me to add some more context? And so that's where you'll then get into the conversation with them. Hear what their thoughts are if they did listen to the call or read the email. If they didn't, start going through that. And then this is where you go in for the CTA, so to speak. But it's my question isn't necessarily about this specific person, but does this caliber and background align with what you need to navigate the regulatory complexity that you're facing? I'm calling because we specialize in accessing this exact type of passive talent. Most of our placements never see a job board. Let the call go from there. But all that work that you spent in the first 2 weeks and that preemptive third week email, this is what's teeing you up for success in this week 3 call. Now we move on to the final week, which is week 4, and this is we're going to ask for the meeting that you've earned. So you're going to make a clear, concise, and respectful request for a meeting using the momentum from the previous weeks. We're going to start with a phone call this week, depending on if they answered or if they didn't. But if you did connect with them in week 3, hey, name, it's Sam again. Thanks for that conversation last week about risk talent pipelines. Go on from here. If you didn't connect with them last week, if you left a voicemail or something else, it's hey, name, it's Sam calling back. Been sharing some insights in the fintech risk talent market with you. Would love to chat. And so the call to action, so to speak, that you want to get into here is to get a 15-minute conversation, a 30-minute conversation with them so that they can start to unpack, what are they focusing on? Are they going to be looking for someone that you can help with in the near term, in the long term? But the overarching goal is to associate you with this problem that they have. So when they finally do need to make a hire, they're not going to job boards. They're not going to look for just another recruiter, but it's Sam. Sam does this. He knows the market. He understands our pains. He has contacts in this. They come straight to you. That is the goal that we're going for here. So that's the 4-week sprint that we would be going through. Stay tuned. What we'll do is next week we'll get into the 11-month follow-on sequence, and that's going to help you figure out how do we keep the curiosity alive, how do we keep staying in front of them so that we're top of mind and we continue to stay at the top of that mental short list when they are ready for help. So thanks, y'all. Hope this was helpful.